Now that we are halfway through the series, I think it is safe to say we all know who the real villain of WandaVision is. Ralph. That dude has not been seen anywhere, and yet his presence is always felt. He's always spoken of. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
And I'm Michelle.
And that joke played way better when we didn't have to do another take because the camera was off center. That's the stuff you don't see behind the scenes. That's the stuff that in WandaVision they would then do a jump cut to, and you wouldn't know what happened, and then all of a sudden, like, our neighbor would just disappear from existence. Yeah, so hey, this show's nuts. Wow. When we saw the first two episodes, because the first two episodes of this premiered, at the same time, I should say. 5 of them have premiered by now. But when the first two premiered at the same time, I thought, you know what, maybe we should do like a semi-spoiler talk, but the thing is, they don't really give you a lot to really talk about until episode 4. Like, I saw a lot of people out there be like, yeah, it's just, I don't know what's going on with this thing. I don't really know how I feel about this. And I was saying that this show is going to be the ultimate test of how creative you can get with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because people like me who are aware of the comics and know what this is kind of based on is like, ooh, okay. And the people out there who, they saw the trailers and they saw the interviews and they saw all the stuff leading up to this and they follow the movies and stuff, they definitely are like, okay, I know what I'm getting into. But I keep thinking about all of you out there is like, oh, okay, so the third string characters from that one Avengers movie, they're gonna have like a show. Okay, that's an interesting thing.
Yeah, you think like they're gonna think that this is like a spin-off or something.
Yeah, exactly. And then, which I mean, it is.
But it's like in an alternate like a spin-off or like.
They thought it was going to be superheroes.
Yeah.
That's what they thought. They did not know they were going to tune in and leave it to freaking Beaver. Although no, it's not Leave It to Beaver. It was Dick Van Dyke. There was Bewitched. Then what was the '70s one based on?
Brady Bunch or Partridge Family?
Maybe. I kind of got that vibe a little bit. Because the '80s one is definitely like semi-Wonder Years-ish.
Yes.
Except that there's still a laugh track in there.
It's like there's semi-Growing Pains.
Growing Pains.
Yes.
That's a good one. Yeah, Growing Pains, definitely. But yeah, you can definitely see the influence from different shows. But you know, you don't really see the influence of Avengers, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I could only think of how many people went into this going, what the hell is this? And don't get me wrong, I like that they just leaned into the mystery. And that was a bold decision on their part. But I kept thinking, oh man, how many people are not going to be able to follow along this? And from what I've been able to see, most people have been following along. Most people are like, they gave you just enough breadcrumbs to go, okay, what's coming next in this? And now we've gotten to episode 5. Oh my god, the questions I had after episode 5. I was like, okay, screw it. I know we're only halfway through the season. I know that literally within a week, this review spoiler cast of ours won't mean anything because 1,000 new revelations will come to light. But I have so many things in my head right now that I have to get out. And they've been like building throughout this entire series. But the cliffhanger at the end of episode 5, holy crap, the number of things that could mean. Because it is rare that I can go on Twitter and see a name trending and go, oh, okay, well, I guess it's been spoiled for me. And then you tune into the show and you go, oh, nothing was spoiled. Nothing could have possibly spoiled this thing. So if you are not fully caught up on WandaVision, if you haven't watched until episode number 5, tune out now. This is your warning. You know what? Tell you what. We'll even give like our thoughts on the show right now at the front, just to give people time to like kind of tune out. But I will give you your final spoiler warning to tune out. For anybody who doesn't know, so far the show, it has been basically Wanda Maximoff and Vision from the Avengers films, which, by the way, I know I said that they were like third-tier characters, and some people are going to go like, they're not third-tier characters. Like, they have not gotten a lot of screen time so far in the Marvel universe. Like, Vision literally showed up at the end of one movie, then he was in bits and pieces of a Captain America movie, and then he died in Infinity War. And then Wanda, slightly more than that, but still, like, I feel like when it comes to how much, like, the general public knows these characters, I still feel like they're the ones who haven't like broken through. Like people now know Black Widow, they now know Hawkeye. Like they were there, they got the stuff, they got all that stuff going into it. I still feel like when it comes to the general public, they're still like, Wanda, who was that? Like she doesn't even have a superhero name. I feel like if they gave her a superhero name, then everybody would be like, oh. Okay, so her. But the fact that they still haven't given her a superhero name, which that's actually a thing they bring up in this show. Like they actually go, so she doesn't have like a silly made-up name or anything. It's like, no, sir, she doesn't. But they have definitely like dropped the hints of how she's going to get the name Scarlet Witch. I'm like, okay. But yeah, the show starts off with them now in a 1950s sitcom that is definitely supposed to be like Dick Van Dyke. And it's just a straight flat-out sitcom. Like, it's got the laugh track, like, it's, like, the cheesy jokes, like, it's all that. And then you tune into, but then there's, like, one tiny thing at the very end of the first episode. It's like, oh, that was a weird shift in tones out of nowhere. And then you go into the next episode, and now it's the 60s. And one thing that I have to give this show is that, man, they are nailing the tones. They are nailing, not just like the tones of each show, but even like the way that they're filmed. Because I noticed that when they went into the 60s, there was a crispness to the quality of the film itself. That made me go, oh, that's definitely updated technology that they're shooting with right now. That's really impressive that they're actually doing that. I would be very interested in seeing, like, was this all done digitally? Or was some of this actually shot in like some older equipment? Because it looks really accurate at times. Although I will admit, in the very first episode, the first thought that I had was, oh, so you can do a 4:3 ratio on WandaVision, but not on The Simpsons. I see. Because when all The Simpsons were added to Disney Plus, that was one of the
big issues.
That was the big issue, is that they didn't it was all 16:9 ratio, and they didn't take the 4:3 ratio and stretch it out. They just put big ass blockers like on the top and bottom of it, and then stretched it out. So any gags that happened here or here were gone.
Yeah, like I remember like the famous one.
The Duff beer one.
Yeah, the Duff beer one.
Yeah, how they says like Duff Light, Duff Dark, and Duff Classic. And the joke is that it's all coming through one tube and being separated into 3 different things. The tube is cut off, so it's just like,
yeah, you don't get the joke.
Yeah. So yeah, it was kind of weird, which I think they said that they went back and fixed that. I haven't gone back and checked the episode, but yeah, when the show started up and it makes a point to like show the 16:9 squishing into 4:3, I went, just gonna rub it in the Simpsons fans' faces? Okay. All right, sure, fine. But yeah, so that is the general premise that we can really give. And I will say from the first couple episodes, I did enjoy the little bits and pieces that we got of the mystery. I wish there had been like slightly more. And also, it's not until like the very end of episode 3 that they're like, okay, now we're splitting away from the sitcom. Now we're going to focus on what's going on. I kind of feel like that should have been the very end of episode 2.
I feel like that too, because it's like, oh yeah, they're parodying like those old sitcom TV shows, ha ha ha. But the charm wears off very quickly.
It does, and that became the problem. Is that I heard some people saying like it actually feels like one of those sitcoms I would watch, and I was like, I used to watch that stuff growing up as a kid on Nick at Night. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I feel like they were better back then. Like, I feel like this one is leaning very heavily into being way too cheesy.
Yeah.
There's definitely some good jokes in here. Like the guy with the mustache who's like the butt of every joke in town. I kind of like that guy. That guy was good whenever he came back around. And there's a couple of good puns that they throw in there. But yeah, there's a line here that I'm just like, I feel like the shows they're parodying were definitely better than this. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I'm just watching a really average 1950s sitcom.
And also, like, because you are aware of, like, the characters, you kind of want to know what's going on, like, why this is happening. So it's like, all right, cut the crap, what's going on? You know?
And I feel like we're all okay with, like, I know a lot of people out there is like, well, give me all the answers now. It's like, that's not what we're saying.
No, it's like, we want, like, a hint or something.
But it's like, okay, a little bit more than what you're giving me. Like, episode 1 only has that one moment that makes you go like, okay, well, there is another moment in which Vision is talking to someone at the office and goes, I'm sorry, but, what what is it that we do here? And yeah, it was like, okay, so that's a first start. But in terms of like creepy, like, oh, something's going on, there's only like really that one moment in there, which is really good. Episode 2, I feel like gives you, a couple more. It's not until the end of episode 3 that's like, okay, now we're in. It's like, I feel like if you're going to give us the first 2 episodes to start, that's where it should end with that. Or give us the first 3 episodes to start. So that way, like, the people out there who are like, okay, what is going on with this thing? They get that before they have time to go, I don't think I'm going to keep coming back to this. Like, I do wonder if there's anybody who tuned out after the first 2 episodes and didn't keep following. Because, man, you were, like, right there when things, like, were about to get crazy. So, yeah, that's, like, I was kind of digging this up. And then when we actually did get into it, man, I've been invested. And the cliffhangers are so good. But also, it's the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but this feels so different than anything else we've got in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. However, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is connected, and they bring back so many characters, but in ways that make 100% sense. And they're characters that I'm looking at as like, I am so glad that character gets to continue existing in some way, shape, or form, and I hope they stick around in other things after this. But yeah, okay, so I think those are our thoughts. You all had time to tune out if you don't want spoilers.
Like, do you want to, like, do what our predictions were?
Oh, hell yeah!
Before we found out the big surprise?
Oh, you mean our predictions before episode 5? I don't think any of my predictions have changed. I just now have more questions. I still have a lot of my predictions are still exactly the same, unless
our guesses as to like who's behind all of it.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, okay. I know what you're referring to now. Yes, okay, because there is one thing that was like, I think this might be going on right now, and then it turned out it wasn't. But yeah, okay, we're now in full blown spoilers here. So the first time that I saw something in here, and I was like, hold up, I think this might be what's happening here. Because I read the comics. You don't read the comics, but I do read the comics. And there was a storyline called Avengers Disassembled, which led into a storyline called House of M. And in the story, Wanda ended up kind of like having a mental breakdown, and her reality-altering powers ended up like doing all this horrible stuff, and she ended up creating like her own little universe where everybody got everything that they possibly wanted. It ruined that character for several decades until someone else came in here and just went, Dr. Doom made that happen to her. She wasn't actually doing that. That was Dr. Doom. But no one remembers that part. No one remembers that part because Brian Michael Bendis didn't come in here and write a terrible Dr. Doom. He wrote a terrible Wanda. I'm not bitter that he took one of my favorite characters as a kid and ruined her. Anywho, So. I know. Brian Michael Bendis ruined a female character. Oh, all over the media. I'm sorry, I'm getting too salty. So yes, I was kind of like, the big reveal at the end of episode 3 is no one is doing this. Wanda isn't trapped. Wanda is the one doing it herself. I was kind of like, I think I know because that's what happened in the comics. So they're not going to have Dr. Doom be the big reveal. It's like, I think they're going to stick with the original plan and have it be Wanda. So yeah, I was kind of going with that. But there was a villain I thought was going to appear because in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Wanda and Pietro got their powers from Hydra experimenting on them, and Hydra very closely linked with the Nazis. I know someone's going to come in the comments and go, well, they only worked with the Nazis before. They're actually this weird cult that worships a big space spider snake thing and an octopus or whatever. It's like, shut up, they're Nazis. They're very closely linked. And in Marvel Comics, there is a villain called Swarm, who was a Nazi scientist who experimented on bees, ended up basically digitizing his brain so that now he just controls bees. So basically his entire body is just a big forming swarm. Like
a literal hive mind.
He is a literal hive mind, yes. He is basically just a swarm. His body is made up of just a collection of bees. And there's a moment at the end of episode 2 where someone crawls out of the sewer and they're in a beekeeper suit with little bees flying around them, and she just looks at him and goes, no. And then he disappears. And I had a thought that I didn't think Swarm was going to be revealed to be the big one behind it, but because the scientist behind Swarm was a Nazi and Hydra was supposedly linked to Nazis, I thought what they were going to do is that since this would all be in Wanda's head, Wanda, nightmares from Wanda's past would come back. And since Wanda was experimented on by Hydra, maybe there was a scientist working for Hydra who he specialized in insects and bees, and maybe that guy was really creepy and she had these nightmares all the time about him being covered in bees. And maybe that was going to, like, her nightmares would start coming back and start to materialize in this world. And that's how you would get, like, the comic book version of Swarm, where it's the giant cloud of bees. He would basically just keep coming back more horrified until it was just the giant bee man. And I thought, oh, sure, they're going to, like, find a weird-ass way to sneak one of the craziest Marvel villains in here and make him, like, nightmare fuel, literally. Is that what they're going to do? No. It was just kind of a weird thing that turned out it was a guy that they sent in underneath the town in a hazmat suit, but then the hazmat suit, like, as soon as it entered, because everything has to be, like, turned into the 1950s or at this point 1960s, turned into a beekeeper suit. That was odd to me just simply because I was like, they had hazmat suits in the 60s. I'm pretty sure they did. I've never stopped to look it up, but I saw a lot of old sci-fi films that showed people in hazmat suits back then.
She probably chose like a beekeeper's outfit because it seemed like less of a danger.
Small town kind of thing.
Small town kind of thing.
That actually, you know what? That makes sense. When you put it like that, okay, I can let that go then. I can let that go. That does make sense now. Yeah, then we get into... this is also another problem, is that I had been looking up who was playing what in here, so that when, God, what is, I know her comic book name, but the actress's name, I'm looking at it right now, Tiona Paris, why did I say Paris like that? Paris, Tiona Paris, she was in here, and I knew she was playing Monica Rambeau, who was the daughter of Captain Marvel's friend from the Captain Marvel movie, and Captain Marvel was in the 90s, so I knew she was going to grow up, and also someone who knows the comics. I knew, like, the second she popped up in Captain Marvel, I was like, she eventually becomes the superhero Spectrum. This superhero is one of the most powerful superheroes in Marvel. She has the power to turn into any form of energy she can think of. And the moment she popped up, I was like, okay, I know she's going to be in the show. I see her in there. I know she is definitely working for some organization, and then... in episode 3, when you see her necklace and it's a sword, I was like, she's working for S.W.O.R.D. Okay, which is basically S.H.I.E.L.D., but in space. That's what that is. So, like, okay, I now know what's going on. She came in this town. She's going undercover or something in order to investigate all this stuff. So I know what's up. Although, for a brief second, one of the theories that people have online is that all of this is being caused by Mephisto, who in Marvel Comics is the devil. And there's a lot of, like, little subtle things that people have been looking at going, oh, I think it might be this. Like, in the very first episode, there's advertisements that run in the middle of all of the WandaVision episodes. And the very first ad was for a toaster from Stark, which we'll talk about the commercials in a second, how genius I think they are. But there are what appear to be on the toaster 3 9s. Take 3 9s, turn them upside down. It's 3 6s, number of the beast. So people are theorizing, like, this might be Mephisto that's doing this. Okay, that could be what's going on right now. What the hell was I about to say about Mephisto? About... God, I totally, like, forgot my train of thought. Like, I was too busy explaining, like, how we got to that I didn't stop to explain, like, oh yeah, so there was a brief moment, because it's a sword, there was a brief moment in which I had that theory that people had about Mephisto in my head, but I saw a sword and I went, is that an upside down cross? Because holy shit, that's very extreme for Disney Plus.
And then you realize, oh no, it's a sword.
It's a sword. Okay, all right.
All right, yes.
All right, okay. They weren't willing to go that far. Yeah, whoo boy. Which, yeah, let me go ahead and talk about the theories that people have online about, like, my theory was that, like, Swarm was going to pop up, but I never thought he was the main villain. I thought it was just going to be like, well, you gotta have some kind of a villain. It can't just be Wanda. There's gotta be, like, something in there to be a villainous kind of thing.
Yeah, I was thinking that, too. Like, I thought, like... maybe, like, Hydra tricked her into, like, having, like, this alternate reality where she's happy.
This was, like, some weird, like, thing that they deep state programmed.
Yes, and, like, they were...
Why did I say deep state there?
And, like, I thought, like, Swarm was, like, trying, like, infiltrate her so they can, like, get her reality-altering powers.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, because, like, I basically, like, even though I don't read the comics or anything, like, I got this idea from Gravity Falls when Mabel was in her little fantasy world.
Another Disney property.
So it's like...
It's Bill Cipher the entire time.
So that was like my theory, and Wanda was like, and when Rambo came along, it's like, no, I don't want your help because I'm happy here, even though she's not supposed to be there, and like she's being used or something. That's my theory.
Yeah,
that was my theory.
Yes, and there's man, I'm sorry if we're jumping all over the place, but it's gonna be one of those episodes, people. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about like the various theories about what could be causing this, because I still actually do think that I'm 50-50 on this, I think, which I know is a cop-out, but I 50% think, okay, maybe it will just be Wanda the whole time. But no, I think there's also like a 50% chance that there's somebody else involved in this, especially because they have said that Wanda is going to appear in the next Doctor Strange movie, and the Doctor Strange movie is called Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and they have revealed that the villain of that is Nightmare, who is the living embodiment of nightmares. That's literally what he is, which makes for a really great Doctor Strange villain. It could very well be that she is being like mentally controlled by Nightmare. So that's one of the theories that people have, just simply because that's being set up kind of for her being in that film. I already talked about Mephisto in there. But yeah, so I think there's a 50% chance that someone else is still controlling her, 50% chance it's just Wanda. But if it is someone else, let's go over some of the other theories that people have. This is one of the craziest theories people have. I definitely, I'm giving this a 10% chance of being true. I don't think it's true, but if it turns out to be true, it has been set up. I'll give them that. If that's Mojo. Do you know Mojo?
I know Mojo Jojo.
Mojo is an X-Men villain. And he is a guy who comes from an alternate reality, which, again, Multiverse of Madness. He comes from an alternate reality, and it's an alternate reality where everything is a TV show, and he is the lead producer of everything, and he is meant to basically just be making fun of television producers, and he's become an X-Men villain because basically he just comes in here and he kidnaps the X-Men and puts them in either he'll either put them in like a reality TV show contest where they're like going through like a big obstacle course, or more often he'll put them like in an actual sitcom where they like lose their memories and now they're like acting out in like a TV show, like some like TV drama where they're just fueled up with hormones and just they're the X-Men is what they are. It's like I was gonna say it's just one big soap opera. It's like, wait a minute, that's the X-Men. Big soap opera, everyone's banging each other, lots of violence. Yeah, it's the X-Men. But yeah, he basically will kidnap heroes and make them act out TV shows. They're literally there's a laugh track, there's everything going into this thing. So I'm like, I don't think it's that, because I think that would be such a wild, far out there idea, and I don't think they're quite ready to have Mojo be the first X-Men villain they introduce. But it has been set up, especially with what happened at the end of episode 5. Other theories are that it's just Hydra that's doing this. Dormammu, because, Doctor Strange being thrown out there, that could be Dormammu again, but I think that one's kind of low. I think that if we're going safe bets here, it's Nightmare, if there has to be any villain, or Mephisto. Mephisto would be really wild guess on that, honestly, but I'm gonna go, if it is a villain, 50% chance Nightmare, 40% chance Mephisto, 10% Mojo. That's what I'm going to break that down on. Hi, little dog. But I will talk about, I do dig that they are altering Wanda's powers now to match more with the comics, because in the comics she has reality-altering powers. And they call it hex powers, which they've now come up with a name for it, and they did call it hex powers, and they came up with a really good reason for why a scientist would dub it hex powers. I really dug that. And this is something I've been wanting to talk about for a while. I really love how they have kind of come up with this is her power, because I don't think people have really realized this yet. I haven't heard anybody talking about this, but when they created the Marvel Cinematic Universe and they created the Infinity Stones, they changed the colors of all the stones. Originally, in the comics, red was not the Reality Stone. Red was the Power Stone. Purple was not the Power Stone. It was, I think, the Space Stone. I'm forgetting some of them. I'm not remembering all of them correctly, but I definitely remember that they changed the colors around. And a lot of people are like, well, why on earth did they change the colors around? And as time went on, I went, it's actually making a lot of sense to me why they changed the colors. Like, purple is now the Power Stone. The first stone that Thanos gets is the Power Stone. So you've got the man who's just purple. That's his big color scheme is purple. He's now like got purple energy like just circulating around him, and it makes the color purple very intimidating because that's the first one he got. Okay, for like cinematography purposes, that's very smart. But now, like the more time goes on, we know in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the twins, Wanda and Pietro, got their powers by being experimented on by the Mind Stone. But because they were experimented on by one of the Infinity Stones, it could have connected them to all the other Infinity Stones, and that's how they got their powers. Wanda's powers from the comics is that she can alter reality. And in here, they said, like, oh yeah, she's no longer just telepathically moving things around. She's actually creating things from nothing. She's actually altering reality now. What is Wanda's big color scheme? Red. What's the new color in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for the Reality Stone? Red. What is Pietro's power? He can move really fast. What is the color? What is Pietro's big color scheme? Blue. Blue and white, actually, because of his hair. But his costume has always been blue. Mm-hmm. What's the color of the Space Stone? The stone that allows you to move things in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Blue. They changed them around to be color schemes for what they were planning to do with everybody's powers. And I was like, God, you guys thought so far ahead on all this stuff. It's insane to me how far ahead they thought on this stuff. Also, like, Vision in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is powered by the Mind Stone. Vision has always had, like, this yellow gem in his head. They changed the color of the Mind Stone to yellow. Makes sense. So, yeah, it's just crazy to me how far ahead they thought about all this stuff. But speaking of, like, her getting her powers by being experimented on by Hydra, let's talk about those commercials in there. It's Peach, calm down.
It's all right, baby.
There's someone outside making noise and Peach is upset. Come here, buddy. Come here. Oh, get up here.
Yeah.
Get up here, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, get up here. By the way, Agnes totally killed that dog, right? Like, we're all in agreement that happened, like, because what happened was that Agnes said, oh, I'm so, like, Agnes just pops up over a hedge with the dog already wrapped up, and it's just like, oh, I'm sorry, he found his way into this plant. I can't remember what plant it was, but it was one of those
azaleas.
It was something that's poisonous to dogs.
Yeah.
He ate so many of them before I even found them. It was just too late. I'm sorry. And then Wanda's kids are just like, no, you can bring him back, right? You can do anything. You can bring him back, right? You can do anything. And then she's like, no, I can't, it's wrong to do that. And then she can tell that her kids are about to use their magic to age themselves up again. She's like, no, don't do that. But they're like, but it hurts, and it's okay to use our powers to get past that, right? It's like, no, sometimes you have to, like, sit with that pain. And, like, you can see her going, like, oh.
What have I done?
Yeah, and I'm like, Agnes killed that dog specifically so that way Wanda would have to confront it's not okay to do the exact thing that I just did. Because Agnes, there's that moment in episode 4, in which they are finding out the identities of all the people in the town. They're finding them all out, and they're going, okay, that person, they never found out Agnes. Agnes is just, like, they never came up with who Agnes is. And Agnes, like, as in episode 4 and 5, especially in episode 5, she's just straight up, like, it's clear she's, like, she even has that line about, would you like to take that again from the top? Which, again, links into the Mojo thing. I'll give people, there is a lot of setup for Mojo in here. But...
It's like you said, like Agnes was supposed to be like based off a comic character.
That's the theory, but it is such a solidified theory. I'm like, I don't even think it is like up for debate at this point, because she's the one person who nobody like could find any evidence of who she was in the town before. So she's a big mystery. She definitely is like, yeah, you got wish powers, it's fine. It doesn't matter. We all know that. Yeah, it's totally fine. And also, like at the end of episode 4, at the end of episode 3. When things start to crack and Vision is out there and he's talking to the two neighbors and he's like, we can't leave because Agnes is standing next to that guy when he's saying that stuff. So it's like, Agnes might have a little bit of the ability to like break through this a tad. In the comics, Wanda learned how to do magic from this person, Agatha Harkins. Agnes, it's way too close. In fact, even in the first episode, her hairstyle is exactly Agatha Harkins' hairstyle. The only difference is that Agatha Harkins is like 80 years old, and she's not that. But it's like, that's changing ages? Oh, wow, crazy idea there. Yeah, clearly can't be him because they changed ages. No, it's absolutely, I would put money down. That's gonna be Agatha Harkins. Hi, Peach. Sniff. Yes, hi. How's it going?
You think she's the one who's gonna like help out Wanda?
I know a lot of people are like, okay, I think she's in on this. I think she's the one actually doing it. It's like, no, I think she's the one that's like, I sensed there was a disturbance in the magic force, and that dumbass doctor in New York was too busy with his whole wacky shit. So it was up to me. I had to come down from Salem to take care of this shit. Yeah, I think that's what this is. I think that she like sensed something was up, so she came into the town, and now she's the one who's trying to like help her out. But Wanda's so powerful she can only get like a little bit out at a time. So she's trying to like subtly help in whatever way, like just slowly like push Wanda. I really kind of want to go back now. And after thinking about what she might have done with the dog, I want to go back now and watch the earlier episodes. Like, when exactly did she pop up at these special moments? Because I remember during the dinner party, she was popping up out of nowhere. And I was like, what was about to happen right before she popped up? What happened as a result of, like, I remember she popped up to help with the dinner, but did she really help or hurt her? What could have possibly been the motivation on that? Huh. Interesting. She's Agatha Harkins. Like 99.9% sure. Let's see. Other crazy theories. There's some weird theories that people have that there were Easter eggs. There is a villain for the Avengers called the Grim Reaper, who has this really terrible helmet. And there's a moment in episode 1 in which you can see the silhouette of the helmet in a scene. And I'm like, I think that might, like, that's a really good-ass Easter egg if it's in there. But just speaking as a comic fan, okay, I'm about to get really nerd on you. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Vision got his brain from Jarvis being mixed with the Mind Stone. In the comics, there was a guy called Wonder Man who died in his very first appearance. And then when the Vision was created, they needed some brainwaves from someone to make him work. So they took Wonder Man's brainwaves. So that's where Vision comes in. So the two of them have always been like, because Wonder Man's powers eventually got revealed that he can't die because he's like pure energy. So Wonder Man and Vision have always had this weird like brother relationship. Like, oh yeah, I mean, we're not totally related, but I mean, you're basically like my twin in a way. The Grim Reaper is Wonder Man's brother, so he's always had a thing going with Vision and Wanda. So in my mind, I'm like, yeah, he's got the connection, but if Wonder Man ain't there, I ain't behind Grim Reaper. I don't know, I'm not fully there. Unless you go like all out and just have to be like, no, it's the literal Grim Reaper. Which, that's a theory that someone threw out to me on Twitter, is that she goes and she gets Vision's body, and then she warps reality to bring him back to life. Which I love that moment in episode 4 where Darcy just looks at it and goes, he's dead, right? I love that moment. So yeah, she clearly warps reality to bring him back. But then the two kids who were not obeying her magic, which I just think it's because they're creations of her magic that have now come to life. So now basically her magic has taken on a will of its own. But somebody's theorizing that it's like, no, they're being manipulated, but they're a creation of something else. And remember, they're the ones who are like, you can use your powers to bring him back to life, right? So a theory that some people have is that someone out there wants her to raise the dead. So that could be the Grim Reaper because he does have an obsession with death. Yeah. So it is, again, possible. I'll give you guys that tiny little possibility, but I definitely think he is the least set up one out of all the options. We were about to talk about those commercials. Sorry. But yeah, it took me a little while. Like, the first one was like, it's Stark. It's like, okay, well, that's a neat little reference. And it's weird that the light, that this is all black and white, but the toaster still has a blinking red light on it. Okay, interesting. But then the next two commercials were for Hydra things. The first one was for Hydra, and the second one was for Strucker, who was the Hydra agent who experimented on them in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The fourth commercial that we got in episode 5, I forgot the name of it, but is the town in Nigeria that Scarlet Witch tried to stop a man who was going to be a suicide bomber. She tried to stop him by using her powers to lift him up in the air, but then he blew up a building and killed a ton of people, and because she threw him in that direction. So, in other words, it's every tragic thing that happened to her, because I didn't think about Stark, but then all of a sudden I remembered, oh, right, her parents were killed because someone used Stark brand missiles to murder them. So I love that all the commercials are just like Wanda's greatest hits. It's basically just all the worst things that have happened to Wanda, and I feel like it's there to kind of turn to the audience and just go like, listen, if she really did have a mental breakdown, there's a precedence for it. Like, there's a setup for it. Like, she lost her parents at a young age because they were killed by this big American superhero, and then she was radicalized by Hydra, was experimented on by her brother, was experimented on with her brother, and so she was basically like, I mean, Hydra's not going to like go like, okay, take this pill, all right, and that's it, I'll see you tomorrow. It's like, no, there's gonna be torture involved in that experimentation. And then her brother dies right in front of her before she then has to go and work for the guy that murdered her parents. And then all of a sudden, when she tries to be like, you know what, I'm going to turn things around. I'm going to sign up with the big American superheroes. I'm going to try and be a hero, even though I got all this other stuff going through my head right now. Her first big outing as a superhero, she ends up blowing up a building, and that causes the Sokovia Accord, which splits the Avengers apart. And then she has to fight her boyfriend because he's on the other side from her. I'm amazed Clint Barton hasn't shown up in here in some way, shape, or form with the connection that they had. So yeah, I love that the commercials are basically just like, hey, here's a reminder that she's not doing great.
And it's like, damn, I don't blame her for making her own little world.
Yeah,
like, after all that's been...
like, she's been through a lot. Yeah, it's like, I think they're doing that to kind of like, either they're doing it to remind the audience, hey, she could actually be the one behind it because she has a mental breakdown, or she's being tortured by someone, which to me kind of speaks to the Mephisto thing. I mean, if he's the devil, it's like, here's the worst thing that's happened to you, and we're going to keep reminding you about that over and over again. Which I would not be, here's the theory that I have. Okay, we're going to finally start getting into some theories.
Yes.
I think there's going to be a moment where we get some flashbacks of her childhood, and it's going to be revealed like she grew up like poor in Sokovia, and there was so much trouble, but the one nice thing she had going for her is that she and her family will always sit around and watch old American sitcoms. Because that's the thing, is that like America will export the crap out of old sitcoms to other countries. So I do have a feeling that's like maybe she did like grow up with her parents going like, one day we're going to go to America. Where all this like watch Bewitched, watch this show, watch Leave It to Beaver.
We're gonna live the American dream, like have a nice house with a white picket
just like
fence.
on this TV show, yeah. Like, and I think that is why everything is a TV show. That's the fantasy she grew up with. I think that's going to be the big reveal of why everything is a TV show. Let's see. Other theories that I've got. We already talked about Agatha Harkness, but like I said, I don't even think that's a theory. I think that was so on the money that, yeah, it's got to be. Cape Joel, other YouTuber Cape Joel, he was talking to me on Twitter, and he pointed out that in the most recent episode, one of the things that Agatha does to try and calm the babies down is she sprays lavender perfume over them and says it's supposed to have a calming effect. And he was like, lavender is a classic ingredient in witches' brews. It's like, okay, I see it, yep, okay. Also, apparently the plant that Sparky got into and ate, that's another like classic ingredient in like witches' brews. So it's like, yeah, she's Agatha. It's like I don't even feel like we need to cover this one. I just want to make sure like we're all on the same page about that one, right? All right, good. Just wanted to make sure. But yeah, so it's definitely not Swarm. Swarm isn't in there. I will say before we get too far into more theories and the big reveal that everybody's like, would you just talk about the thing in episode 5? One other thing that I will say real quick. I love that Jimmy Woo returned, played by, oh God, what's his name? Raymond Park? It's not Raymond Park. It is, I luckily was smart enough to bring it all up here beforehand. Randall Park, that was it. For me, that's very close. I love that Randall Park returns, and he's a little bit more competent than he was in Ant-Man, which is great to me because, I mean, if you know the comics, he's basically James Bond in the Marvel Universe. So it was kind of weird seeing him be like a goofy, like, not that competent detective for the FBI. It's like, oh, okay. So I do enjoy seeing, like, he's still fun, because, I mean, he's Randall Park. He's going to always be fun. Like, Randall Park cannot be the most charming person on a TV show. That is just his lot in life. He just has too much charm. He is like, it goes Paul Rudd, Randall Park, like neck and neck, which is what made it so great they were in the same movie together. But yeah, I do dig that he's a little bit more competent because A, it makes him a little bit more like his comic book version, but also it speaks to all the people out there who's like, well, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it doesn't have any tones. It's all the same tones. Like, what are you, what? What are you talking about? If you can watch Winter Soldier and then watch Thor Ragnarok, you know, same thing. No one can tell the difference. There's so many flavors, and yet you just chose salty. Why? I mean, you want to talk about the same tone. You're using the same flavor to judge all these things. But yeah, it's like, yeah, of course someone in one thing is going to act differently in another thing if those things are meant to have completely different tones. If one, like Ant-Man and Wasp, is totally meant to be like a family-friendly comedy, he will act one way. If it's meant to be more of a weird, out there, trippy X-Files drama, he'll act more serious in it. But he still has like that little bit of Randall Park charm, and he definitely still has a few jokes in here, so it's like, it's the same guy. Okay, I can see the overlap in there. So this to me is like, yeah, this is great. We get these characters in different things, but when they're in something with a different tone, they will act a different way according with the tone of that new thing, but they still show they do have that little bit of overlap there, so you can look at it and go, yeah, it's the same guy. It's not totally, they're not writing him like a completely different guy. Like, I can see it. Yeah, I just wanted to point out, I think that's handled incredibly well. And I love that when he's introduced, he flicks the card out because in Ant-Man and Wasp, Paul Rudd had been under house arrest for years, so he had been studying magic tricks. And Jimmy goes up to him and goes, how'd you do that with the card? And then like later on in the movie, you see like someone walks into his room and he quickly tries to hide that he's watching YouTube videos on how to do magic tricks with cards. And I'm just like, hey, he learned it! Way to go! Yeah, I love that. That was just such a small detail. That's the thing about the Marvel Cinematic Universe that I love so much. I will admit, anytime that you can go, hey, we're not going to stop and draw attention to it. It's just a thing that lets you, the audience, know there's a connection. You see these small changes from one thing to the next, that makes you go, oh, it's okay, it's all kind of linked together. I am a sucker for that. Anytime that you can like make that post online where you show like this thing and this thing from like 20 movies later and go, oh, that's referencing back to that thing. Okay, I get that. I love that stuff. Like in Avengers Endgame, well, speaking of Ant-Man and Wasp, there's that moment in there in which the Wasp is like, why did you leave to go over to why did you leave to go to Europe to like fight in some civil war that you're not even a part of that? And he goes, Cap needed me. And she's like, Cap? He goes, yeah, that's what we call him. We call him Cap. He's like, Cap. No one calls him that. And then Endgame, when he gets on the radio, when Captain America gets on the radio, he's like, I need someone to get to this location right now. And Wasp goes, on it, Cap. And then she stops for a brief moment to look over at Ant-Man. And there's a moment where it's like, see, I told you. But they just have this quick like, and you can tell it's her going like, okay, that was pretty cool. Yeah, okay, I get it. It's like, that's so good. Just a little thing like that. Like the little things that don't stop and draw too much into it. Just that little thing that lets you know it's like, there's a connection between them. I love that stuff. I love it so much. Anywho, also Darcy. Darcy, one of the biggest like comedic relief characters in the Marvel Universe. Now, because it's a more serious thing, she pops up and goes, yeah, I was studying Thor and alternate realities and this crap for a reason, because I actually am smart. You know that, right? It's like, I love that. I love that they brought her back for this. But she still kind of acts like Darcy, like just enough. They're like, yep, same character. All right, yeah, cool. Also, a lot of people have theories right now about like the head of S.W.O.R.D. They have theories about that guy possibly being someone, about him like possibly being like a villain or him being the one behind this whole thing. That's totally possible. I don't know what villain he could possibly be. But it is kind of weird that it's like he is very much like, no, we're going to like, oh, okay, Jimmy, you studied all this stuff? Okay, cool. Well, ignore all that stuff. Listen, we're going to talk about this thing right now. He definitely has an objective. He definitely has a goal in there. And I will say, if I have to put like one nitpick in here, it's very odd that this entire time they've been trying to figure out what's going on with Wanda, what could possibly be happening with Wanda. And yet, days before this happened, she broke into S.W.O.R.D. headquarters and stole the Vision's body And they didn't think anyone needed to know that was working on this case until like right now. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you withheld that piece of information? What? Why did you withhold that? So
It's like, did they think there was like no connection? Or
it kind of to me comes up like I think the script so far is really smart, especially like with the most recent episode, like that big standoff that Vision and Wanda were having. Holy crap, that is some of the best acting that I've seen. Those two actors are just like going, you guys know that we can like do, like we are really talented. You guys know that, right? Yeah, I love like seeing the range they're showing off. I think the two of them are kicking so much ass on this show when it comes to just pure raw acting, and that scene was fantastic. So yeah, I think that like the writing, I think everything on this is really smart. That one thing right there, the fact that they would withhold that information feels really dumb to me. It feels like, no, there's no reason why you would withhold that.
other than to like surprise the audience.
Other than to surprise the audience, but I'm like speaking to all the people in the room, most of whom are like working with Sword on this very high-ranking case, like, no, you would tell these people this vital piece of information way before this point, unless maybe that's some doctored footage, and that guy and the director of Sword has got his own objective, and maybe that was fake. So that could be the reveal that comes around on that. Yeah. So that is kind of a theory, but that's mostly me a theory going like, okay, well, that's the one bit of writing that was kind of lazy in here. But you could make it a smart thing if you did this. So, yeah, okay. Okay. Let's finally talk about the thing that, man, I remember going on Twitter, like, I was ignoring everything. Because the thing is, I thought, okay, I'll ignore stuff on Friday. But it was Thursday night, and I'm a night owl. So to me, like, 3 a.m. in the morning is to other people like 8 p.m. at night. Like, it's not really, you know, like, the day isn't done for me. I still got other stuff to do. So I forgot other people right now are staying up crazy late to watch WandaVision as soon as it premieres so they can get on Twitter immediately and go, oh my god, this thing. So yeah, I didn't realize, oh yeah, to me it was like, it's still Thursday. WandaVision doesn't come out till tomorrow. Whereas other people are like, it's finally tomorrow, we can watch this now. And so all over Twitter was Pietro. That was trending, just Pietro. I went, well, there's the big reveal. All right, well, but the thing is, like, I knew that was going to happen. I knew Pietro was going to, like, there is no way that Wanda, who has the power to, like, alter reality now and raise the dead, is not going to have her brother pop back up. Not going to happen. Like, of course it's going to happen. Like, I knew he was coming, so it wasn't like, oh, man, you spoiled it. The one that got me is that for some weird reason, at the exact same time that Pietro was trending, Reed Richards was also trending. You know, Mr. Fantastic of the Fantastic Four. And that was the one that made me go, time to get the fuck offline. Time to make me get offline, because if you tell me you are introducing the Fantastic Four into the Marvel Cinematic Universe through WandaVision? No, I can't have that spoiled for me. They are not introducing the Fantastic Four through WandaVision. They're introducing the X-Men, though. Oh, turns out that whole debate that people kept having of who was the better Quicksilver, the Marvel Cinematic Universe Quicksilver or the Fox X-Men Quicksilver. Turns out we don't need to have that debate anymore. Turns out, same dude. Put them aside, can't tell apart. Yeah, so there came the moment in which there was a knock at the door, and I instantly knew. It was going to be Pietro. Although, I will say, if it had been Ultron, and he just walked in and he goes, son, over to, like, Vision, I would have lost my shit. I actually made a joke on Twitter. Half joke, half real. I actually made a joke of, like, okay, Wanda's reality is starting to break apart. What if she goes so far overboard that she tries to bring Pietro back, but then every 5 minutes, Ultron pops up and kills him again, and then she, like, panics and she has to rewind reality. It's like, no, everything's okay now. And then he, like, sits down for, like, Tommy and Bobby and Billy's birthday party. It's like, they're singing happy birthday, and all of a sudden, like, 5 Ultrons come down and kill everyone. She has to rewind time. Like, man, it feels like this entire show is them just going like, oh, people don't think Age of Ultron is all that good? Okay. Well, we're gonna change that shit. we're gonna mess with your cognition on that. Which I will say, I do like Age of Ultron, but I think half of Age of Ultron is brilliant. I think the other half is a big mess. And this is just like making me lean back in towards the like, no, I'm remembering the good stuff now. I'm never going to forget the stuff that's a mess. But there was good stuff in Age of Ultron. This show is making me like go like, all right, it's okay to just focus on the good stuff right now. But yeah, okay. So there's a knock at the door. I knew it was gonna be Pietro. Who do you think it was gonna be? Because I don't think you saw yet, like the spoiler.
I honestly don't know.
I had no idea. But yeah. So they open the door, and the camera slowly pulls out and reveals the white hair. And it's like,
actually, I thought it was going to be like Rambo, but like she's going to be like in disguise, because like she mentioned like she said we need to infiltrate this town, but we need to be someone or something that has already been
from the maybe she dressed up like her mom.
Yeah, or like something
that'd be a great way of like dealing with her. Which, by the way, I freaking love that there's the moment in which like. Jimmy and oh god, I forgot her name already. Oh god, I'm terrible with names. The scientist from Thor. We just said her name a second ago.
Darcy?
Thank you, Darcy. I kept wanting to say Daphne. But yeah, I love that there's the moment in which like Darcy was like, you know that she did almost take out Thanos by herself if he didn't decide to call down an airstrike on the field. And she says, no other Avenger could have gotten that close. And then Jimmy's like, I don't know, Captain Marvel got pretty close. And I love that he was literally having the debate that people have had online of like, who's stronger, Scarlet Witch or Captain Marvel? Like, that's what the MCU like fan base has been arguing since that film. Like, okay, who really is the strongest Avenger, Captain Marvel or Scarlet Witch? It's one of those two. Okay, which one? Because both of them were like going toe-to-toe with Thanos there. So I love that they like had that debate, but I also love that the moment they said, I don't know, Captain Marvel did, and then Margaret Rambeau, who was Captain Marvel's biggest fan when she was a kid, was like, yeah. Oh, some shit happened there. Oh, what happened there? Okay, we're gonna get into that. Oh, that's gonna be some good stuff. Okay.
It's gonna be the next Captain Marvel movie.
Yeah, which I think they said. I don't remember if they said that the actress who's playing Miss Marvel is going to be in Captain Marvel 2. Or if Captain Marvel is going to be in Miss Marvel. It's one of those two is going to happen. I know that's just simply because Disney has a ton of money and Disney is a giant evil corporation that's controlling everything. I understand that. But again, as a comic book fan and a fan of some guy who has burps in his throat right now, excuse me. I suck in way too much air when I talk too much. I apologize, everyone. But also just somebody who's a comic fan and is a fan of the idea of an interconnecting cinematic universe. I do kind of love the fact that like they're like, hey, giant massive actor who only does movies, be in this TV show of ours. Okay. How much money? Okay. Yeah, it is kind of like, it's fun. It's fun. I hate admitting that Disney using their massive, giant billions of dollars is fun, but it's fun. I'm sorry.
It's okay. All us Disney fans suffer that too.
All fans of everything, if you study enough, suffer that too. I'm an SNK fan, and I thought we were untouchable because we were so tiny and no one would ever do anything. It's like, oh no, we're being bought out by pure evil now. Okay. Research that shit if you're not into video games. Anywho. Hey, Peach. Nah, I need a break to stop talking to pet the dog. Anyway, the camera starts to pull out, and there's the white hair. Man, I'm keeping this audience in suspense about our theories about this thing. Camera pulls out, and there's the white hair. It's like, hey, it's Pietro. Okay, it's good to know that they got that actor back. Okay, it's gonna be Aaron Taylor Johnson, or Aaron Johnson Taylor, whatever it is. It's gonna pull out, it's gonna be him. Nope! And you can testify to the audience on this. The massive freak out that I had at that moment. Like, there were only like 30 seconds left in the episode. And yet I still, at that exact moment, I like slammed on the remote. Like, no, rewind, go back to that thing.
It's like Evans Peters or Peter Evans?
Evans Peters, that was it.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I had to look it up because I was literally going back and forth between those two in my mind. Yes. So, gotta just double check that again. Evan Peters, yes. And it's him. It's just 1,000% like, it's not Aaron Taylor Johnson, it's Evan Peters. In other words, the guy who played Quicksilver, not in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but in the Fox X-Men films, because it's just so weird that they have now taken what was a bizarre legal quagmire behind the scenes of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and turn it into the most fascinating thing anyone has done with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And, well, I don't know. They've done a lot of that. Like, the mere idea of a cinematic universe is a fascinating thing. But it's like the most shocking thing that is probably going to happen on any show this entire year. I remember when Elizabeth Olsen came out and said, like, there's going to be a guest star that's going to be as big as when Luke Skywalker appeared in Mandalorian, which I just realized as I was saying it, we didn't tell people we'd be spoiling Mandalorian. I apologize. But yeah, and I saw someone on Twitter say, like, listen, I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but there is no character they have that would be a bigger shock than Luke's popping up at the end of Mandalorian. Well, you were kind of right. There was no character they had that would be as big of a surprise. There was a character a completely different studio had. And he pops up here, and I love that they did not try and play it off like, yeah, this guy has always been Pietro. Like, literally, they then cut to Darcy, who says she recast Pietro. And I was like, oh, holy crap. My mind was blown by that. They got, wow. And didn't you realize it was that actor when you first saw him?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, when I first saw him, I was like, he looks kind of different.
It's like a magic eye. Slowly took time to reveal the Fox logo in your face.
No, it's like, find the difference between these two pictures.
It's the same picture. It is now. Yeah, I was stunned by that, and some people were like, okay, so they're going to just pick up the X-Men from that universe and merge them in here because of Wanda's reality-altering powers or something like that. That's what's going to happen in this, which we've also been hearing all these weird casting things from the next Spider-Man film, that actors from the Sony Spider-Man films are going to be here. Like, Jamie Foxx is going to reappear as Electro again, and the guy who played Dr. Octopus, I forgot his name, but the guy who played Dr. Octopus in the second Tobey Maguire movie is going to pop up in here, which is weird since he died in that film. So there's many questions come from that. And we already know that what's-his-face, at the end of the last Spider-Man film, they finally revealed the Marvel Cinematic Universe version of J. Jonah Jameson. And it's literally the guy who played J. Jonah Jameson in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films. And I'm looking at that now, and I'm looking at this like, are you, like, the next Doctor Strange film is called The Multiverse of Madness. So Spider-Man is deeply connected to the multiverse, and they've even put that idea in viewers' heads thanks to Into the Spider-Verse, thank you.
Which you're making a sequel to.
Thank God, which I will admit, I was nervous when they made Into the Spider-Verse because I was like, you're going to introduce Miles Morales through a multiverse film that has to do with, like, Spider-Ham, and you're also putting Spider-Gwen in it? How are you going to make any of that work? But then they really made it work. But the people who made it work are the people who made the Lego movie work. And I was like, oh, it's just, these guys can do anything. Apparently those guys aren't returning for this one. And I'm like, oh, now I'm nervous all over again. Now, like, if you told me, like, okay, we already did that, now the next Spider-Verse film, it's just going to be Miles. Great, cool, many people can do that. Oh, you're going to add, like, 12 new Spider-Men to this one. And you're not getting the guys who did the last one. Oh, I'm nervous all over again. But anyway, that's not about this. But yeah, so anyway, like, because we know about what's going on with the next Spider-Man film, like, okay, multiverses are involved. And the next Doctor Strange film is the Multiverse of Madness. Freaking Mysterio in the last Spider-Man film, even though it was revealed he was lying the entire time, did go, yes, okay, so there's a thing called the multiverse out there, and I'm from another reality. And it was revealed that was a lie, but, like, he revealed that stuff to Nick Fury. You know Nick Fury would not be like, yeah, we'll just let that slide, not look into any of that stuff. Thank you, car outside. Yeah, we're in the middle of a blizzard. You're gonna hear some car honks outside, everybody. So yeah, like, they're clearly leaning into a multiverse thing. So after seeing this, a theory that people have is that Wanda is going to use her reality-altering powers to basically take the Fox X-Men and merge them in here. And what I'm going to tell you people is, do not do that. That is a horrible idea, because the Fox X-Men have their own jumbo continuity that they couldn't even keep straight. Remember, they went back, rebooted their continuity, then the very next film rebooted that shit again, then the next film after that broke it. And it's like, don't, no, you've screwed up too much with the Fox X-Men. I know we all have those characters we love. I know we've all got that stuff that we enjoy.
But Wanda has the power to rewind and do it all over again. Okay, so it's going to be rebooted.
It's like, but guys, I know we love their version of Quicksilver, but every single other actor from like X-Men, Dark Phoenix, X-Men, Apocalypse, every other like baby Jean Grey and baby Cyclops that got there. I'm sorry, did any of you see them and go like, oh, that's the perfect person to play Jean Grey, right? Absolutely, that's who should be. No, don't do any of that shit. Here's what I'm saying they should do. We know she's going to be in the next Doctor Strange film. The next Doctor Strange film is called The Multiverse of Madness. In other words, he's going to other realities. My theory is she wanted to bring back Pietro. She wanted to bring him back. She kept wanting to do it. And so she like reached out there in that moment in which like Vision was confronting her. And she was having like this breakdown, this emotional crisis. So she reached out for like her safety net. Her safety net was always her brother growing up. So she reached out for that. But she is now altering reality to the point that they're like merging with other realities and they're mixing out there. And I have a feeling like she reached out, oh, wrong reality. So I'm not saying that they're going to come in here and ignore the Fox reality of X-Men. That car is going off out there. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Hopefully you can. I'll see if I can fix it. My theory is she was reaching out there and trying to find whatever, like she was trying to find her brother, but now she's broken reality and other realities are starting to like get pulled and sucked in there. And like she like reached out there to grab a Pietro and she grabbed one from the wrong reality. I don't think they're going to come in here and be like, okay, let's grab the Fox X-Men, just pull them in here. But I do think they're going to acknowledge that that is an alternate reality.
It's like, hey, we own Fox now, let's just grab their cast.
Just be like, yeah, I think they're just going to go like, hey man, they're there. Also, we do know that Deadpool, granted this one's like halfway, but they have said like, okay, Disney is going to make Deadpool 3, and it's going to be R-rated, it's going to star Ryan Reynolds again, and it will be set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Imagine if, like, Deadpool was the one who, like, came into, like, WandaVision and, like, literally broke the fourth wall.
Oh, that would be, like, hi, listen, you're not used to this, I do it all the time. But, so I'm like, okay, so yeah, we know that Deadpool will be the same guy, but Deadpool was like that one guy out there who was like, if you want to come in here and go like, don't worry about how any of this shit links up. Don't worry about it. Deadpool's the guy you're okay with. So even if Deadpool is being pulled directly from the Fox films, I don't think that means anything for the giant, massive, like, how are they getting the X-Men in here thing. I think that's more just like, it's Deadpool. We don't have to obey any rules with this guy. That's literally what makes him so fun. But yeah, I think that what we're going to get is we are going to get the Fox X-Men in some way being featured in here, but I think it's going to be more of a thing where after they like find the Fox X-Men and then they set reality straight, one of two things are going to happen. One thing that'll happen is that like it will have affected our reality in a way where it's like not their X-Men will come in here, but like enough of the history will be merged where the mutant gene has now existed in our reality. And now like all of a sudden people are like, oh yeah, there's been this thing called mutants for a while and now they're starting to appear more frequently, but they've always been here. Because that's one thing. A lot of people will say like, okay, make it so that when they snapped with the Reality Stone, it created the X genes. Like, no, don't do that because then you lose all the history. Then you lose all the stuff about like the long relationship that Professor X had working for mutant rights. Then you lose all the stuff about like Magneto, like having to fight for other mutants out there. Then you lose like all of Wolverine's backstory in there. I know people are like, well, I'm tired of seeing Wolverine. It's like, but his massive ass backstory is kind of important to the backstory of the X-Men. You cannot bring Wolverine back. You can go with Laura Kinney. You can go with X-23. You still need the massive ass history of Wolverine to have been there to get Laura Kinney. That's the thing that drives me nuts. Like, I don't want Wolverine to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I want Laura Kinney. It's like, you kind of need one to make the other. Like, you can say, okay, we'll have Laura Kinney be the star of the next Wolverine film, which I'm totally 100% fine with. But you can't come in here and be like, and she existed without Logan. That's not happening. You need one without the other. Like, listen, I grew up reading Ben Reilly as Spider-Man. You couldn't have gotten that dude without Peter Parker. Just saying. Hey, Peach. I'm going off on this one. So I think one of two things are going to happen. Either they're going to do a thing where it's like, okay, we set the reality straight, so all the Fox characters, they're back in their own thing, but the mutant gene kind of like it's spliced in with our reality, so even though we now have a Professor X and he's always been here, he's not the Professor X that you guys knew over there. Or, and this is the one that I keep saying that they should do. I keep saying mutants should have always existed in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but the government has been covering that shit up. And I know people are like, how on earth could they keep that stuff secret? It's like, motherfucker, shield and sword? You don't think they could keep that shit a secret? Yeah, especially if you want to play into the whole idea that mankind hates and fears mutants. If you want to play into that whole idea that like mankind is terrified of mutants and they're meant to be like this big metaphor for like prejudice and everything that people experience in the real world, having a thing where like the government went, we need to make sure that no one finds out about this shit. Make sure that that's on the down low. If you're a mutant and you're living out there, you gotta wear these collars that make it so that way your powers don't act up. And if we ever find out your powers act up, you're going straight to mutant jail. That's what's going on right now. Like, make it so that, like, the theory that I had is that, like, make it so that, like, Magneto back in the 50s led some kind of a revolution here in America where he got mutants to rise up, and then, like, the government, like, stopped that before anybody really found out about, and, like, made sure, like, no reporters report on this shit. Like, we were able to find these guys and make sure that, like, they didn't do anything before anything acted up. Magneto's been in jail for 60 years now. Do something like that. And have it be where as soon as Doctor Strange gets back from fixing the multiverse and he sees all these X-Men, he goes, if there's a thing such as the mutant gene out there, no way does it not exist here. And he like starts calling up people. He like starts calling up the remaining Avengers and is like, you guys gotta look into this shit. And that's how you get into that. In fact, like we know that the Fantastic Four is going to premiere before the X-Men premiere in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. As far as like an actual movie goes, there was in the Ultimate Universe, the Fantastic Four, they were part of like the government's top science program. You could have it be that Reed Richards, the world's biggest superbrain, ends up discovering like, I've been researching this thing called mutants. Like, that's not a thing, don't look into that. I know it's totally a thing. I've even been tracking. It's been going back for hundreds and hundreds of years. We need to look. That's how you could set that shit up. Like, I keep saying, like, if you really want to make the mutants like a metaphor for like groups that have been discriminated against, make it so that our own government has been like doing everything in their power to like keep them suppressed. And again, it's like, dude, we've got S.H.I.E.L.D., we've got S.W.O.R.D. now, there was Project Pegasus over in Captain Marvel. Like, there was like 9 different crazy government organizations in the Marvel Universe that are specifically tasked with, we make sure this shit doesn't get out of hand. Hell, you want to know what you do in order to make it like work within the like X-Men rules? Have it be that there is a brand new government organization called Project Sentinel. And their entire job is to make sure no one finds out about mutants. That's been their thing from the start. And it's led by, oh god, not Bolivar Trask. I know everybody would go Bolivar Trask. Bastion. No, wait, that wasn't his name. No. Wait, was that it? I can't remember. The guy behind Operation Zero Task. I'm mixing up my weird 90s X-Men stuff. But yeah, create Project Sentinel as like the 4th big, weird, crazy government organization within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And their entire job was like, listen, we discovered a thing back in the 50s, but you don't need to worry about it. Like, it's Roswell. That's all it is. It's Roswell in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Basically like, hey, what's with that weird photo from, over this place in New Mexico where there was a guy and it looked like he was lifting up metal. What happened with that thing? That was all weird, like CGI. Someone did a thing like
that was Photoshop.
That was Photoshop. That's all it was. It was just Photoshop. You don't need to worry about that shit. We keep all that shit on lockdown. That's all it is. Don't ask about that. Move on with your day. That's what you do with that. Because then you still have the history. You still have the mutants who have been living in fear of being exposed to the humans out there. You still have Professor X, who's been fighting for mutant rights, fighting for mutants to become equal. He's been gathering up people in secret because he knows that if the government found out he was training mutants in how to use their powers, everyone would hate them. It would also explain why he was training them to be a superhero team because, well, they're accepted. If we show that mutants can be superheroes, maybe they'll be accepted too. Then you can also have, like, Magneto. He's super pissed. He's been in prison this entire time. Yeah, there's a, like, that to me, like, don't have it be a magic thing brought all in here. Have it be it was always here. Have it be it was always here, and because then you have the history, and the history is what's important in here. But yeah, I think that's my theory. My theory is because she is breaking reality right now, she reached out for Pietro in that moment, grabbed the wrong Pietro. But, again, I will say to all the people out there who is like, it's Mojo. It's 100% Mojo. It's gotta be Mojo. I could see at that moment Mojo being like, guys, camera two is right now is, one of our actors is going off script right now. We need something that's going to get this whole scene to stop right now. Hold on, grab that guy that we got like right over there. Like, grab it, yeah, pick him up out of that reality, bring him in here. Cool, we're all good now. So the more I think about it, the Mojo thing does stack up. Simply the only reason I don't think it's going to be Mojo is simply because I cannot picture them making the very first X-Men villain that they reveal to be Mojo. I love Mojo, I do. But when you think of like, okay, you're making something to introduce X-Men into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the thing people have been wanting forever, who's the first villain you're going to pick? Mojo? That's a weird-ass thing you just said. But it would fit. Oh, man. My voice, you can track how my voice has been destroyed over the course of this. I think we've covered everything.
Yeah.
I've mostly talked, but it's mostly because I know the comics.
Yes, and I don't, so I can't really put my 2 cents in, really.
Yeah, but you have added some stuff in here. Is there anything that you want to cover in here that I haven't really talked about?
No,
I do think that Doctor Strange will pop up at some point. I think he's going to be the big in reveal of this whole thing. Either he comes in there trying to save Wanda, or after Wanda breaks out, she's like, I need help. And then, like, the final shot is her going to the Sanctum Sanctorum.
it's like, I feel like Vision is the one who's gonna, like, break Wanda out of, like, the,
That's a good question, is,
because
do you think Vision will survive this?
I don't.
Me neither. I think
Like, I think he'll be like, I think he'll tell Wanda's like, you have to accept the way things are, and she, like, starts turning everything back to normal, and, like he basically, like, collapses in her arms or something like
with
that.
The big, like,
yeah.
That was a freaky ass scene, by the way.
Yes.
Ooh, man. I do definitely think, like, she's going to have to accept this. There's, part of this storyline has been based, someone's going to bring it up in the comments, so I have to bring it up now. Part of the storyline is based on Tom King's Vision series, where the Vision decides he's kind of tired of the superhero life. He's going to retire, so he builds himself a wife, and he builds himself 2 kids, and a dog named Sparky. And it's basically kind of like, he bases the brainwave patterns, like I said, his brainwave patterns were based on Wonder Man. He bases the brainwave patterns of his wife off of Wanda. But Wanda isn't all that stable, so she kind of like has a bit of a breakdown herself, and it becomes the story of people losing the narrative, basically, which is what's happening to Wanda right now. And it becomes like, no, everything's fine, we're a perfectly normal family, and then like, no, terrible things are happening behind the scenes. A lot of people are looking at this like it's going to take some inspiration from that, and there is one really good issue of that run, where it's the history of the Vision, and it's basically everything leading up to why he would decide to create a wife based on the Scarlet Witch, because it shows their messed up relationship, and how like she basically kind of called it off, and he's like, no, I still had feelings. But there's one great scene, because they did have kids in the comics, but they were also created by magic, but then it was revealed that like a demon was like, which it could be just that same demon from the comics. It's just no one cares about that demon, so it'd be weird if you decided to bring him back. But hell, I thought it was gonna be Swarm for a moment, so you could totally bring that guy back. But the fact that I don't even remember that demon's name shows you how much people don't really care about that guy. But it revealed that like, no, it was a demon like tormenting her, like making her create these children just so he could use them to like mess with her again, and he ends up taking the children and just basically like erasing them. And there's a moment in that Vision comic where it's him going like, Wanda, they were never real. It's okay, they were never real. And she's like, you weren't real! And yeah, they get into like a screaming argument, and then like, Wanda, Wanda, you're lying to yourself. Can you not hear me? Should I turn my volume up? Wanda, you're lying to yourself. And like, you're a goddamn toaster. You don't know anything about emotion. Like, it's a great scene. I'm like, I kind of want a scene like that. I kind of want a scene like that in this. Except that this version of the Vision has far more emotions than the one in the comics. I gotta come back to it. That scene of Paul Bettany just being like, I'm scared because I don't remember anything outside this town. What is happening? And the fact that there's like no music during that scene. Oh man, it's good. It is so freaky. I love how creepy that scene is. It's how dark they were willing to get with this show is mind-blowing to me. And again,
well, they kind of have to get dark with it, considering the premise. Like,
they do, and I'm so glad they're willing to do that. But again, it's so crazy to me that it's like, this was not supposed to be the first Marvel Cinematic Universe TV show. The first of these Disney Plus shows was supposed to be Falcon and Winter Soldier, but because all of this had already been filmed before COVID, they had it ready to go. Falcon and Winter Soldier, they had to go back to film. They had to take a break when COVID started, and they're back filming it now. And as soon as this show is done, there's like a week of nothing. Then the week after that, Falcon and Winter Soldier starts, which you guys know me. I'm a massive Sam Wilson fan, and I loved his run as Captain America. I want to see, man, I hope that show is good. I hope they do that show justice. I am really looking forward to that one. But if you watch the trailers for all the Marvel Cinematic Universe shows they have planned up, Loki is like some heist movie taking place through time. Miss Marvel is going to be like the teenage girl discovering what's important in life and coming into her own role in life, like that, like discovering yourself kind of show. Big uplifting thing. Great. What If is going to be an animated crazy show just all over the place. Great. Love it. She-Hulk is going to be a comedy legal drama. Moon Knight is going to be dark, crazy vengeance man. So they're going all over the place with their tones. Falcon and Winter Soldier, you look at the trailer for that, it's like, that's a Marvel Cinematic Universe film. That one's just an action film, Marvel Cinematic Universe. They wanted that to be the first one so that they could ease people into this. Like, all right, let's give people what they already know. So that way then we can lure them in and then get crazy. But because of everything that happened in the world, the one that's easing people into things, they're like, I guess we gotta just throw their asses in the pool and see if they swim on this one. That's what they did with this because it's like, we gotta just go straight to WandaVision, which is the weirdest goddamn thing you can imagine. I love this show. I'm very intrigued. I have a question for you, but also for all the people at home. People are loving this thing. It's getting great ratings. People are watching this thing, just salivating at what could happen next. I mentioned, I don't think it's going to be Mojo because I think that would be, I don't think they want that to be the first X-Men villain that they introduce, even though there is a lot of precedence for it. I'll give you, there's a ton of precedence for it. But I don't think they want that to be the first X-Men villain they introduce. But my question to the audience is, what could happen in this show to make you go from loving it to hating it? What could be the big reveal? Because you know that's not going to just be Wanda. Something else is coming in here. Which, by the way, I didn't mention this, but a really good Easter egg is that the drone from the 80s that they had to send back in there to photograph them, to take video footage, it was a Stark drone, literally the thing that killed her parents. And I was like, they didn't really stop to focus on too much. They just showed one real quick thing of her throwing it back to them, and it just said Stark on there real quick. And they didn't stop to really bring that shit up or go oh, we shouldn't have done that because of this. They just trusted that you, the audience who's been paying attention, would know this. And that's again one of those things that, like I said, I love that about the Easter eggs and the continuity and stuff within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Very rarely do they ever stop to turn the audience yeah, you know what's up. More times than not, they will just going. If you've been paying attention, you know. You know. And if you don't know, we're not gonna focus on too much that you need to know. My question is, what is the thing that they could reveal at the end? Not some big crazy thing that just you just making up something nuts. What is something that you could actually see happening in here that would make you go from loving it to hating it? Because for a while, I kept hearing people say Mojo for a long time. Even before Quicksilver got introduced, I heard people throwing Mojo out. And I was like, that would ruin it for me. That would ruin it for me if you just then cut to the giant blob man on robot spider legs with the wired dreadlock haircut. Just going no, we have to get this shot over here. We have to focus on this thing right now. Granted, they might not design him like that. They might just have it be some guy some guy in a business suit or something, which they've had that interpretation of Mojo before, but like, I thought like, man, if you cut to the version of Mojo that I'm familiar with everything going on, I would be like, that just killed the entire tone of this thing. But then the more I thought about it, especially after the reveal of Pietro, I'm like, maybe I could be okay with this thing. If they didn't like lean into the goofy side, because that's the thing about Mojo, he is goofy as hell. He is a joke character, is what he is meant to be. He is meant to be like, ratings have shown that people want this, so let's have Wolverine hook up with Jean Grey. Let's have that happen right now, because that's what the fans say they want. That gets the ratings up by this main point. Oh, and now let's have this happen to this character. Like that. He's that guy. He's meant to be making fun of like the guy who just follows the charts, and the guy who just pumps out really crappy content. But like, the more I've been thinking about with what happened in the last episode, I'm like, I could totally actually make use. You could sell that to me. You could make me look at that and be like, oh hell yeah, yeah, absolutely, 100%. I'm down with it. If you did in a way that also kind of like led into the multiverse of madness, because he is a multiversal character, I could see you making it work in a way. As much of a fan as I am of the character, though, I think if it was Grim Reaper, that would kind of ruin it for me. Simply because, like, Mephisto, he's the devil. Okay, cool. You don't need a lot of setup for the devil. Nightmare, that's setting up for Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. Grim Reaper, I don't know how you could just all of a sudden drop that dude in our laps at this point. So if you had that get revealed, I think that would be like, we've got 4 more episodes. If you want to be Grim Reaper, you gotta spend those 4 episodes setting that dude up. Because otherwise, if you don't start setting him up from this point on, it's going to feel like too much of like just out of nowhere for me. So I feel like that could be the thing that kind of ruins it for me. But again, there was a point where I thought it was going to be Swarm. I got to keep coming back to that, and I was 100% on board. Like, let's do it, giant bee Nazi. Let's do it. Let's have her fight giant bee man. Do that shit. So yeah, I could be totally wrong on that, but yeah, it's like, I am curious. What's the thing out there that you guys think could actually happen that you don't want to see happen? Because I've heard from everybody out there about, oh, I want to see Mephisto. I'm down for Mephisto. Mojo, I'm down for that. It's got to be Nightmare. Got to be set up Nightmare. What's the thing that you could see being the big reveal at the end of all this that would spoil this for you? And by the way, I've heard a lot of people out there already saying like, well, the entire plot's been spoiled already. The entire plot has already been spoiled. People already know the big villain and everything. Nobody knew Peter Evans was going to pop up, and like, there's spoilers that people don't know yet, man. There's spoilers people don't know. But still, if you're worried about that stuff, don't read the comments, just because someone out there can do it. But yeah. Anything else that you want to say?
I can't really think of anything.
How long have I been talking?
I don't know. When did we start recording?
We've been going for an hour. I thought it would have been way longer. I thought we'd been going for way, way longer. Oh, man. Okay, yeah, sorry that I, dominated this conversation. Final thought from you. How are you enjoying the show so far?
I am enjoying it.
Good. Anything else that you want to add in there?
No, not really.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's hard to form too many theories when you don't know the comics on this, but I'm like, holy shit, man. Yeah, there's so many things going on in this. But God, yeah, I think that's the crazy thing to me, is that they haven't said mutant yet. They haven't said mutant, they haven't said X-Men, they haven't said any of that stuff. But that is Quicksilver from the Fox films. They're not doing that shit just because it's like, well, technically we're not having mutants yet, we could technically have that actor and just never bring. I guess that, honestly, I think that would be something that would kind of not ruin it for me, but it would hurt a little bit if they have him in there and then there is no mention of why they recast him. Just if it is purely a turn and wink and nod to the audience, hey, it's that guy from that thing. Yeah, we're not gonna say a reason why. It's just a nice little thing that we did for you guys. No, there's gotta be a reason. You guys have to give me a reason. It doesn't have to be any of the things that I list off. But you gotta give me a reason. If we're talking about things that could actually happen that would upset me, that's one. There is not any reason for that. But yeah, as I was saying, okay, if we have gotten him in here, and that is a sign of things, that means that everything's on the freaking table right now. Because there is another scene where in House of M, where Wanda has her big mental breakdown. She is recreating her children over and over again, and there's a moment where Professor X has to come in and goes, Wanda, those children aren't real. You have to put them down, Wanda. And like, that could happen in this. Who knows? Like, we could get our very first reveal. Like, a guy in a wheelchair just comes in out of nowhere. He's like, who are you? It's like, I know who I am. Do you know who you are? Do you know who they are? Your children? They're not real. Like, that could happen. We don't know at this point. That's right. Who knows who else from the X-Men films could pop up right now? Freaking Logan could pop up. Like, what if Hugh Jackman popped up? What if Hugh Jackman just popped up and then, oh my God, this is all a sitcom. This is all meant to be a sitcom. What if Wolverine popped up in here, freaking Hugh Jackman came back one last time to be Wolverine, and he popped up, and then he gets into a big-ass musical song and dance number, because Hugh Jackman is a big Broadway song and dance guy. What if that is the one thing that Disney offered him that got him to come back as Wolverine? Like, you just got to be in one episode of a TV show, and you get to do a musical number. That's it, right there on the table. It's like, deal. Oh, man. Yeah. Wow, yeah, I have had this stuff building up for many episodes, as you guys can tell.
I can tell, yeah.
Yeah, and we will be back when all of this is over for our big spoiler talk.
And this is our halfway through.
This is the halfway point. We're at
the
episode
semi-spoilers.
We're at episode 5 of 9 here, everybody. Like, we're at the halfway point. But that being said, who the hell knows what could happen with episode 6 to bring us back? Listen, there aren't any movies anymore. Movies aren't a thing anymore. All we have is WandaVision. So if we want to keep the post-Geekout reaction show going in a world where there are no movies, except for whatever gets put on HBO Max once a month, this is what we got. If you guys want us to come in here episode by episode and just talk about WandaVision, we'll come in here episode by episode and talk about WandaVision. We'll do it. Don't think we won't. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Oh my God, I have to record another thing for our gaming channel right after this. I can't talk, so there's problems.
Nothing a good cup of tea can have.
Good cup of tea, yes. Oh yes, good cup of tea, good mental breakdown. I had a freaking mental breakdown watching this show. God, wow. It's just really starting to be that, like, I cannot remember the last time that we were watching a thing and I had to leap like I was jumping to guard the president from a bullet to grab the remote control and go, no, rewind, see that shit, show it to me. Oh yeah, man, that's some good TV, everybody. That's some good TV, and I don't even know what it means. Oh my God, we're recording this on Saturday. It just hit me. I got 6 more days till the next episode. Holy shit. You have class in the morning on Fridays. I might have to wake your ass up at 3 a.m. Like, no, you go to bed early, because I'm waking you up at 3 a.m. so we can watch this together.
Class on Friday doesn't start until noon.
Until noon, yeah. Okay, so we might be able to
Mondays and it's not, no, Tuesdays and Wednesdays I have class at
so
9.
So yeah, we might start watching with everybody else at 3 a.m. Oh, I got hiccups and burps from all this, because I got too many emotions, and they're coming out as gases. So, that's it. I gotta tune out now, everybody. I need a cup of tea before I record more stuff. Watch our gaming channel and see if you can match this shirt I'm wearing with what episode with what show it is. So you know what I had to record right after this, and you'll be able to see right after what I recorded. I'll even hold the cup of tea in my hand while I'm doing it as a nice little Easter egg for you guys. There you go. Peach just told me to shut up, and we need to stop.
Yeah, that's our cue to stop.
All right, bye, everybody.
Bye.